Hi guys! Today I'm going to walk you through how to make a Eagle Eye layout and show you the entire workflow. So, the first thing to do when preparing to make a layout is to download Creative Cloud and make sure you have InDesign installed. So in order to do that, you look up Creative Cloud download, and it's not the first two that are ads, it's this one. And you click this blue button right here and install it to your computer like you would any other software that you're installing. Afterwards, you open Creative Cloud once it's installed and make sure that you're signed in. You log in with 06, whatever your 06 number is, at my.browardschools.com, and then the password that you use for Canvas. And you go to your apps and you hit download. And now I already have all these programs downloaded, so it's not going to say download for me, it says open, but for you guys it will say download. But you want to make sure that you're using the right version. So go to other versions and install the bottom one. So once it's downloaded, you're actually going to sync your files to OneDrive. Well, you have to download the OneDrive app, download Teams, log into Teams, go to Folks class, 2023 print, files, open in SharePoint, and then remember, you have to have OneDrive downloaded because you're going to hit sync, and then it's going to sync to your OneDrive, and it will sync. And now I already have it sunk, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm just showing you. Never open files from Teams or from OneDrive. You always have to open them through the folder that will appear on your computer, so which for me is this. After that, the second step is to go into Flow and identify what the things that you're going to need for your layout are. So like this in process might involve talking to an editor or talking to the writer or whoever's in charge of keeping track of the story, because you want to make sure that you're fully knowledgeable about what's going to go on the layout. So now, we don't have a flow card for this because I'm just doing an example today. I'm not actually creating a real layout that will be used. So for my example, I'm going to use this story that Kate and Reese wrote last week about the Anthony Rizzo walk. And as you can see, this is simple. It just has a story and it just has photos. But some will have timelines, some will have quote packages, infographics. In fact, most will have one of those things I just mentioned. Step number 3 is to find inspiration for your layout. So I'm going to go onto issue right here and I'm going to look through some layouts. And now I already did this before the video, so you wouldn't have to watch me sit here and look through layouts for an hour and find something. Like this right here is the Musette Dreyfus, which is a good magazine to look at. Another good one to look at is Distraction Magazine by I like that one. This you can also look at The Harbinger is really good, or just go to the NSPA website, Best to Show Design, which is National Scholastic Press Association, which is a contest that we also involve ourselves in. So the one I picked out is this, and I want to show you how I'm going to adapt this to a layout that will be suitable for my design. So once you find a piece of inspiration, you will have to create a sketch. And once you create a sketch, you must show it to me or Mrs. Falkowski. Okay, so I've created my sketch. The next step is to pick out a color palette. And the best way to do that is literally just to look up color palettes. So Google color palette, and a lot of different options will come up. Maybe I'll get this. All right, I'll put this on my desktop. It's not very much. I put an X where any photos go, and I illustrate clearly how many lines of text I will have. You'll probably have it in the Essentials workspace. So this is probably what InDesign will look like the first time you ever open it. And as you can see, the toolbars missing at the top. You only have properties over here. You don't have a lot of other things. I like to use the advanced workspace because it comes with all of the things I want. But if you're ever looking for a window, you can go up to window and open any windows that you're missing. So on InDesign, the main tools that you'll need to know will be your selection tool, which is used just to like move things around and to scale. You'll need your text tool. You'll need your box tool and your photo frame tool, and you might need your eyedropper. But that's it. You honestly don't need to worry about the rest of these. Command plus zooms in and Command minus zooms out. So whatever's on here is what's going to print. We never put anything outside of these pink little boxes because text too close to the edges looks unprofessional. Additionally, because printing is not an exact process, text or any important items outside of this have the potential to possibly get cropped off. This line right here, the red, this is the bleed. In the bleed, any item that has to bleed off the page will be in the bleed because, as I said, printing is not an exact process. So if the printer cuts it here instead of here, then you're going to have a little bit of white on the edge. So you have to make sure to always design anything that bleeds off to the bleed. Up here is your options panel. You have color here, but you also have color here. Your properties panel will be very important. So right now, nothing on there important is showing up. If I click on an image, it will have everything I need to adjust an image. It will have fill and stroke size, it will have opacity, rotation tools, inverse tools, angles, all sorts of things. And this will be very important. You can also find your alignment here, or you can go to window. Actually, where is alignment? I think it's object and layout and alignment, and we'll open up your alignment panel, which I have docked over here, but you probably won't, so it'll probably just be floating around. You could dock any panel wherever, by the way. The workspace is highly customizable. You will also need your paragraph styles panel, which if you don't see this, go to window, styles, paragraph styles, and your character style and your object styles panel. I have them all docked up here just because that's how I like it on my computer, but you can do whatever you want. Additionally, you'll need your layers panel. So I'm going to show you how to scale images first. So if you click on an image, so all images in InDesign basically are within a frame. And what that means is you have an image and you have a frame around it in which it's contained. So imagine you have a sheet of paper and you cut a hole in the center of it. And then behind it, you put a photograph. If you move the photograph around, you'll be able to see different portions of the image that you're showing. Because you just see whatever's not hidden by the paper. Essentially, the frame works the same way. All right, to scale it. So if you hit shift, it will scale proportionally. But as you can see, I only have the frame selected. If I double click this, or actually, let me make this bigger so you can actually see this. Okay. All right, if I double click this, it will show me my entire image. And if I scale anything at all, it will distort it. And I don't want to distort it. So if I hit shift on this, I can scale the image, but as you can see, the frame is still huge. If I want to do both, I hold down, I select it, hold command and shift, and that will scale both, which is what you will always want to do. So there are some things that we will always do. For example, we will always design on the grid. It is very important to always use this grid to design. You can click W to toggle the grid. So when we do text for our layouts, we always either have 3 rows or 4 rows per page. If we do 4 rows across, so 5 across, and then hitting this plus sign will flow text from one box to another, so it will just continue whatever was in there and all the way down. So 5 across with one little space in between, and you basically continue that for, I'm just going to copy paste this, but usually you would hit that little plus sign that just appeared to flow it, basically for 5. If you're only doing 3 boxes, then you would do 6 rows across. So click to flow the text, and another, that's 5. Let's do, 6 rows across with the 1 space in between. So there you go. That's proper 3 rows of text. So anyway, let's begin designing. We will need to download our photos off of whatever we are using, which will be Flow, in order to use them. So if we were on Flow, here, so you download it by going to View Full Size Image, and then here, and then right click, Save Image As, and whatever, save it. And you want to make sure that wherever you're saving your image to, you are also putting it into OneDrive. So I don't have a folder here, but I would have a folder. I would have a folder in the OneDrive, and I would want to make sure that the image was saved to that folder as it is right now. I'm not going to do that because, like I said, this isn't a real layout, but like you would want to make sure that whatever you're using is put in here. So all the photos I used for the boundary photo, for the boundary layout, they're all in this folder. Because if I have a photo on my layout, it will show this link if it has like the link. So basically, if it knows where the photo is, the photo will be linked. If the computer doesn't know where the photo is, meaning like either it was moved or perhaps like you just didn't put it in the OneDrive, it will be a missing link, and on someone else's screen when they open the document, it will show that the photo just has a gray box. So you won't be able to see the photo because that computer doesn't have the photo on it. So it is very important to make sure that links are not missing. Okay, so now I'm going to look at my sketch and also reference back to my inspiration and begin designing my layout. Remember, we always have to use the grid. We cannot deviate from the grid. I'm going to create a text box by either clicking T, which is the keyboard shortcut to access this tool, or by clicking on that. And I'm going to draw this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to paste this. Okay, so now all my text is in this box. And let me redock this. All right, I don't need to worry about this just yet because it is all on the page. You just can't see it because this box isn't big enough to contain it. Therefore, I'll have to hit plus to add on to the text, or I could extend the text box. We want to make sure that visual design elements that are not part of the story don't take up too much space, because that takes away space that we could be using for content. So I'm going to use this, and you know what? I think it would look better if it had a lower opacity. So opacity is basically how transparent something is. So I'm going to come over here to opacity as it's selected and type in 50, in my properties panel. So now it's a low opacity, and I can click W to look at that. All right, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to call this one, well, the writer will write this for you, but I'm just going to call it Walking for a Cause, which is a good headline for this. Okay, paragraph styles. These styles will set the size, the shape, the color, the settings of your text. Don't use these ones, use the 2022 ones. In fact, I will delete these off the templates, but right now, if you ever get a layout that has all these are all old. You want to make sure that you're using 2022 styles. Which actually reminds me that I forgot to mention that you have to download the fonts really quickly. So I'm going to show you this. So before doing your layout, you have to make sure you have our fonts downloaded. So if you go to our print folder, there's a folder called Downloadables. Use New Eagle Eye fonts and download all of these. All of these fonts you need. You need Montserrat, you need Laura, you need Baskerville, and you need Rockwell. And those are the fonts that we use, or Library Baskerville, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, once these are downloaded, you'll be able to use our paragraph styles. So when we make headlines, we actually use two fonts. We use Laura and we use Montserrat. So I'm going to put this in Laura because you always want to have both fonts in your headline, right? So Walking for a, and then I also want to have the word cause. And as you can see, when I click on the paragraph style of my choosing, it will assign every element of my text to what I have. Oh, so this is a good lesson. I just clicked on this, right? And as you can see, it disappeared. Well, why did it disappear? And that's because the text did not fit within the bounding box. So if you extend this, as you can see, it actually fits. And if you click this over here, it will fit the box to the size of your text, so you won't have to worry about having it too big or too small. Okay, so we're going to call this Walking for a Cause. I'm going to hit Command and Shift, and I'm going to scale this text proportionally, just like I did with an image, and I'm going to align these. So I'm going to select this and hit shift click this, meaning that they're both selected. As you can see, they're both selected, and they go to my properties panel or my alignment panel. And I'm going to click on the top one to put more gravity on it, and it's going to outline it in blue and align it to the right. So as you can see, I'm going to do that again. I'm going to select them both, click, align, and they both line up. When I have a layer selected in the layers panel, it appears blue and I can move these around. However, as you can see, this has remained blue for Walking for because I have Walking for selected on here and only the layer icon selected on here. So basically, only Walking for is editable right now because that's what's selected on my artboard. However, the only layer I'm moving is the cause layer because that's what's selected on here. So I'm going to use the darker green for the thinner text because darker colors generally make thinner text easier to read. So take this, double click. I'm going to click and drag the eyedropper to the dark green and hit add to swatches just to make it easier, and then hit OK. So So again, I want 6 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with again the little spacer in between. And I'm just gonna put it down to the same area. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this doesn't fit. Let me move this over. So selecting it all. This layout that I'm creating right now does not quite fit our typical style for creating a layout. However, I'm just using this one because I like it enough, and for the purpose of this video, it suffices. And I'm going to make sure this is all aligned to the same place, so when I select them all, I can just drag straight down and see how long the story is. And the story is quite long, so I'm going to put some of it on this page, but some of it will still remain on this page. I'm going to actually make this invisible. If you click on the eye, you can make your layout, you can make any element, any layer invisible. So I'm going to make this invisible so I can edit this text. Sorry, I'm going to select all these. I'm going to go paragraph styles, and I want to make sure to put it in like the text font that we use. And then I go to story paragraphs Baskerville. All right, and then after that, I see how long it is, and I delete all of the spaces between here. And as you can see, there's a problem. His face is being covered in this photo because of what I've chosen to do with my text. Yeah, I want this frame to stay where it is. So I want to double click this and only hit shift on my photo, right? And now I can adjust it. I can move it over within my frame by toggling it based on the donut, and I want to make sure it's still within the bleed. And now I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to kind of just play around with it until it gets to where I need it to be. So, you know what? Let's say I finish this, and I think, yeah, that's fine. I like how that looks, but it doesn't really fit my box. I want to right-click it and do fit frame to content, and there you go. Now the box is the size of that, and this is all cut off, and that's fine. I don't need that in the photo necessarily, so I'm just going to close my box into where my bleed is. Actually, I want to show you how to use the frame tool. So the frame tool is right here, and the way that it works is you basically you use it and you drag a box, and you create a photo frame. So it's a photo frame tool. So you want to make sure that it's lined up to where you want it. And then you could either do file place and then go looking, where's place? Okay, place is here. So file place, which will pull up basically like your finder menu, and you could find what you want to place. Or you can take something from OneDrive, which pretending that my desktop is OneDrive right now, and put it in the box. But in order to do this, you actually have the box selected first. So I'm going to select the box, drag this into the box. There you go. And as you can see, this is zoomed in improperly. So I'm going to go up here, click this, and it will fit it to the frame. There's something called the dollar bill rule. The dollar bill rule is critical in creating a layout because it is the difference between like a really good layout and a really bad layout. Okay, this magazine uses smaller text than ours, and also their pages are different size, so this obeys the dollar bill rule. However, my design does not, because they have a short strip of text, and then they have these long strips, or we have these long strips of text. So basically what the dollar bill rule means is if you put a dollar bill onto this page in actual size, it should touch more than just one element, meaning that if I were to take a dollar bill and lay it across here, it should not only touch text, it should touch something else as well. So how big is this? If you go to view and actual size, it will blow up the size of the page and zoom it in to the point where this right here is a real size this will print. Now on your screen, this might be a little hard to understand. A common mistake that students make is oversizing things. You don't want something to be too big because then it just looks out of place and it looks like you're trying to take up space. So you want it to be a good size. So how big is this really? Because on my screen, it doesn't really look, it's hard for me to like imagine this as a physical item. So what I do is I actually put my fingers up to my screen, and then I have an actual Eagle Eye magazine in front of me, and I place it on the paper. And then put your fingers up to the text on your screen, and then put your fingers in the same position on your paper, and you're going to be able to see about how big your thing is going to print. So obviously a dollar bill would fit across here, and it would only touch one item, meaning we have a problem. And the way that we solve that usually is by using a pull quote. So I will now show you guys how to make a pull quote. Okay, so we're going to use that quote, so I just copied it. And we're going to draw a box and place it in there. And now we're going to highlight it and go down to pull quotes. So now there's pull quotes and then there's quote packages. A quote package would be like what I'm displaying on screen right now, and a pull quote will be like what I'm displaying on screen right now. Go to pull quote. This is not a quote package. So pull quote excerpt, which is similar, and then go to pull quote mark and type in a quotation mark. And as you can see, it doesn't show up and we have overset text. So we're going to open this up, and here it is. So now we do the pull quotes in a very certain way, and we always do it in the same very certain way. So now the annoying thing about these quotes is you have to have a huge box around them. So this is a very long quote. Usually we would choose a shorter quote. So we're just gonna use the first part. We're not gonna use this entire thing. And we hit let's see. Okay, so as you can see, this entire thing did not transfer. So highlight it, right click, and go clear overrides, and that will actually clear any other like fonts or sizes or anything that is not right. So we want to make sure that this fits within 6 boxes. So I'm actually shift clicking, basically pick the middle one, align it to the center, and then adjust this as needed. Okay, we do our pull quotes like this. So if it's a student, we always include the grade level. Mark Pollock is not an MSD student, so we're not including a grade level. So I'm going to use a line tool right now to draw a line. I selected a point right here. I selected a point right here. I'm going to hold down shift as I drag it out just so it's a straight line, and then let go. Go up here to stroke, select black, and change it to 1 point, which it already is at. And just to make sure that's actually all aligned, I'm just going to do this again where I select this and align it. Yes, it is. All right, great. Okay, so I'm actually going to make this black because it should be black. All right, select all of this, Command G to group it, and now we can move it around as one item. So I'm going to put this so it fits right here. Oh, does it not fit in 6 blocks? Did I do this wrong? All right, yeah, let's just shrink this down. So because it's grouped, it like shrinks together. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to text wrap it by clicking up here. This will text wrap it, meaning the text will go around it. And look at that. This looks a lot better now. And let's see. Yeah, it matches the pull quote here. So I'm looking at this. Actually, I'll get back to that later. So yeah, this is a pull quote in here. This looks done, except I look at this and I realize that I didn't actually leave room on my sketch for captions. So we want to add a caption. The way to do that, we're going to take a box, draw a box, go to object styles, 2022 object styles, and let's do a caption box. Let's do a right caption box. All right, actually, no, we're going to use it for this. Okay, so all pictures need captions in our layouts. Caption words. Okay, but this would be the caption. You'd copy paste it. So select that, paragraph styles, and then guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna find the caption paragraph styles. Yay! So we always put a period after the fun title, and we always also put this in bold. So fun intro, period. We're gonna put that in not black. We're gonna put that in bold. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing. Photo by Kate Becker, and then this is also in bold. Okay, there's our little caption. And of course, we will adjust the caption box. There we go, looks nice. And we're done. This is the layout, guys. Look at that. Hit Command 0 and it will show it like so you can see the entire layout. I think this looks pretty good. I mean, it's not like a full complete layout, but it looks pretty good. It has all the elements. So before you submit your layout to me, there are things I want you to check for. The first thing I need you to check for is that everything's in the correct style. Now, I can look at a layout and go, okay, that's the right style, because I've seen a million of these, but you might not be able to. So already, I purposely left a few mistakes in this design just so I'd be able to exemplify this to you. So, first thing I notice, well, actually here, I'm going to show you guys how you'd find out. If you select all of the text, so let me select all of this, and I go to paragraph styles, it should all be in Baskerville, and it is. If it had a plus sign here, I would have to right click and then do clear overrides and it would reset it. But what I noticed is that we don't have a drop cap here. So select my first paragraph and initial paragraph with drop, right? So the first paragraph of any story should have a drop cap. And I want to check everything. I want to check, is this in a paragraph style? Yes, it is. Now, it does have a plus sign, and that's because I changed the size and color. The only text that you're allowed to change the size of is for the headline. Not this, not this, not this. Nothing else, just the headline. Same thing with color. You can change captions like black and white. You can change text black and white. But the only thing that can have a different color is the headline. But anyway, this is in the right style. This is in the right style. This doesn't have a plus, and as it shouldn't because it's not a colorful thing. So it's in the right style. Captions has a plus, but that's only because I put that in bold. But if you just select these, it doesn't. So my captions are good. And then let's check the quote. So this is good. And now, oh, look at that. Look at that. There's a plus. Right click, clear overrides, and it is different, but this is not the right font. So pull quote mark is in Steelfish. Oh no, why is this in Steelfish? That is because I'm using the old styles. No, you need to use the new styles. Pull quote mark, pull quote. There we go. Here's our new style. Wow, guys, look at that. Wouldn't that just have been absolutely horrible if I didn't catch my mistake? Yes, it would have been. Okay, so we saved the day. All right, next thing I'm going to look at, I'm going to make sure that we have no overset text or warping. So warping would be like if I had a photo and I just stretched out to here. As you can see, this is not what the photo looks like. It's warped. To fix this, click on the photo, click auto fit up here, and then obviously adjust it by double clicking and then hold shift and scale appropriately. right? And we can move it around as well. So I'm going to move him over, and I'm also going to move him down, and I'm going to make him a little bit bigger. There you go. So now it's not warped. So again, warping would be like if I did this to it. If I did this to it, this is a warping photo. Always check for warping photos. Additionally, always check to make sure your links aren't missing. Watch this. I'm deleting this. Actually, no, I'm just going to put this into the edit these folder. And then all of a sudden, there's a little question mark here. And if I click on this, it doesn't say any. Oh, let me turn the grid on. All right, there's a question mark here. And there's a question mark here. That means my link is missing. So double click this, and you'll relink it. And I'm going to link it back to the proper place that it is. Actually, let me just open this folder. But yeah, I'm going to link it back to this folder because this is now where the link is. But your link should always be in OneDrive. So if you actually put things in OneDrive to begin with, you won't have this problem. But let's just say you moved it. What you do is you take your photo, put it in OneDrive, and then you relink back to your OneDrive, and all of a sudden the link is fixed. Okay. Next thing we want to check is overset text. Additionally, if I click down here at how many errors I have and open the pre-flight panel, it will say that I have not one but two instances of overset text. So the first overset text is here. Oh, look at that. There's overset text on the pull quote, almost like I did that on purpose to show you guys. So I will just move the text box down, like move the bottom of it down and to expand it, and now I no longer have overset text. But I have to go into my layers, select Mark Pollock and the line, right? So I'm going to click on this right here to select it on my artboard, and shift click on the other one to select the line on the artboard. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys right now to move this down so it's now not covering it. And my second instance of overset text, I'm going to go and do this again, is over here. So I'm just going to pull down on my text box to create more room, still making sure it's all aligned. Next, you check your alignment after you check your overset text, links, and warped photos and styles. So my alignment is already good because I designed this on the grid. Well, you have to check that it's aligned. You have to check it's designed on the grid. Now, I designed this on the grid and I aligned it. But let's just say, for example, I had this over here, right? It's not aligned. Click on all of these and then click on one that is in the right place and then top align it like that. And then, oh, look, it's not on the grid. So let me move this over. Now, that was kind of an extreme example, but sometimes someone might do this and they might design it just a little bit different, just like this. And this still looks good, but it's not on the grid. So if I zoom in, I can see that this isn't on the grid. So I need to now select this area and move it to the side and move it upwards, so now you can see that it's properly designed on the grid. All right, and yeah, alignment, again, is just making sure things are in line. This is all lined up, this is all lined up, like I have this pretty much lined up here, and it looks pretty good. Zoom in and examine your layout up close, and that is really the best way to tell. So as you can see, I'm just adjusting this so it's all on the grid, but it is already aligned. Everything is lined up, because naturally, that is how I design. I don't really design things that aren't aligned. Anyway, guys, that is essentially how you make a layout. Always remember to save your work, and always remember to save it to the OneDrive. The last thing I need you to do is make sure that your layout follows the elements of design. The principles of design are basically the basic principles that all designs need to follow in order to look professional. Now, if you look up a list, some will give you many principles of design, like 16, some will give you 8, some will give you 7. But there are a few key ones. So the ones that give you more items aren't giving you different principles. They're basically breaking down the same principle into different parts. For example, in the PowerPoint I did, they had variety as a principle of design. Some places don't list variety, they just include variety in emphasis and contrast, because if you have emphasis and contrast, by nature you have variety. Same thing with pattern. Some places don't list pattern because they only list unity, and pattern is a type of unity, but it's not the only type of unity. So there are different ways to categorize the principle of design. There are different ways to describe what they are, but essentially the principle of design can be broken down to balance, contrast, emphasis, movement, rhythm, hierarchy, white space, and unity. So let's look. Does this have balance? I think, yes, this does have balance. It has photos on both sides. It has elements on both sides. Text is down here, text is up here. This creates a sense of balance, and ultimately, this side doesn't feel any heavier than this side is, so to say. Contrast. Does it have contrast? Yes, because there's contrast between the very like square shapes, the geometric shapes, of the photos, the text, and the boxes between like the curvy lines of the text, which you'll always have using our style package. Additionally, pink and green are contrasting colors. This creates a nice sense of contrast. Emphasis. Emphasis is where this particular layout kind of falls flat. It doesn't have a strong emphasis. However, you could say the photo, or you could say the text is the emphasis because it's kind of towards the middle, it's above the photo, but usually in a layout the photo will be the emphasis. So this is a bit weak in emphasis, but it's not so weak that it's a bad design. It's just a little weaker than usual. Movement. I would say it does have movement. So this design has a lot of interesting components. It's kind of, if you look at it, the main elements, if you imagine a dot in the center of all of them, it's kind of shaped like this. And on this side, you have a lot of up and down lines. The same shapes kind of create a sense of movement as well. This kind of points your eye this direction, and then this one kind of points your eye this direction, back to the caption box, up here, and then up to the text. Rhythm. Okay. So rhythm is created by having a sense of unity and pattern. I would say it does have a rhythm. It has a sense of unity, right? Unity in design has same elements, and a sense of pattern, same pattern of design as the rest of our pages. Hierarchy. This does have a hierarchy. Well, it doesn't have a strong hierarchy, but it does have a hierarchy. So to create a better hierarchy, this photo should probably be a bit bigger, but then that would make it so I need to actually make sure this is on the grid. Let me select this properly. All right, so yeah, this does have a hierarchy, but it doesn't have a strong hierarchy. So maybe we'd want to change it a little bit to adjust for that. So now obviously the text is overset, but this does have a better hierarchy because the picture is bigger, this is smaller, whatever. And when before the hierarchy kind of leaned on the text, but yeah, it does have a hierarchy for the most part. White space, it does well in that. If you don't have white space, your design feels very cramped. And then unity already talked about because it has the same design elements. So it does pretty well in satisfying the principles of design. Some layouts, not every layout has to be really strong on every single principle of design. Some layouts will have a really strong sense of unity and maybe not the best rhythm or not the best movement, but it'll have a great sense of unity and it'll have a great sense of contrast and a great sense of emphasis, and overall it'll be a pretty good design. And that's what we're looking for. Again, I do edit these designs, so they don't have to be spot on perfect, but I never want you guys to turn a design into me without thinking in your head, okay, this is something that we're going to print. Like if you design something and you just think, Julia will fix it, Falk will fix it, Ivy will fix it, then you're not doing a good job, because you want to turn something in that you truly think like, okay, this is something that is worthy of being printed in our magazine. So just do that final check in your head and that final run through. And if you follow all the steps in this video and all of the procedures that I talked about in my other videos, you should be okay. Guys, you should never be afraid to ask questions about design. And also, right now I'm working on putting together a YouTube channel, which is probably where this video will end up, that will have a lot of my little tutorials on how to do design. So actually, I'm just going to talk about that for a quick second, just so you're aware of it. I, this year, have been sending out videos to people, like specific people, about how to do certain things. So for example, the other day, I saw that Kaplan made an ad layout and it needed some adjustments. And I was thinking, I could type up a 5-paragraph text about how to do this and she might read it and be like, Julia, what are you talking about? Or I could just show her in 2 minutes. So I created a video and I sent it to her. Same thing when I edited Gabby's layout. Gabby's layout was pretty good, but I want her to make some changes, except I wasn't going to see her for a few days. So I made a video and I sent it to her. Also, I saw that a lot of my editors were struggling with alignment, so I made a video of alignment and I sent it to them. And then I thought, you know what? I want to make sure that all these videos are accessible for anyone who wants to use them in the future. So I took them and I put them on a little YouTube channel. So if you guys ever need something specific, you can always look on there and see if it's on there, and if not, I'll be happy to answer your questions. But anyway, that's all for now, and good luck on the test on how to do design.